Imagine this for a moment, tucked away in a dusty jewelry box, hidden in a drawer of old rocks from a family road trip, or resting unnoticed in the back of a drawer. There could be a tiny stone worth more than a car, more than a year of salary, a broken bar, sometimes more than a house. The rarest stone in the world is not always big, not always flashy, and very often it doesn't look expensive at first glance. People have tossed it away, traded it for pennies, or kept it for decades without knowing what they had. And the most unsettling part is there's a broken bar. Some Americans are walking right past this stone, or already own it, without realizing it could be worth thousands of dollars. The name of that stone is musgravite. You may not have heard of it, most people haven't, and that's exactly why it hides in plain sight. There are gems that are famous because of movies, legends, or crowns. Musgravite is different. It lives in the shadows of the gem world, whispered about by collectors, chased by experts, and quietly changing financial futures for the few who discover it. What most people don't know is that musgravite is so rare that, for years, only a handful of confirmed stones existed, not dozens, not hundreds, a handful, yet it can appear so ordinary that it could sit in a bowl of pebbles on your kitchen counter and no one would suspect a thing. That tension, something incredibly valuable disguised as something common, is what makes musgravite both mysterious and powerful. And if you've ever inherited stones, kept rocks from old travels, or have a collection tucked away somewhere in your home, this story matters to you. The story of musgravite begins in a remote place few people will ever see. In 1967, in the Musgrave Ranges of South Australia, geologists identified a strange mineral that did not fit neatly into any known category at the time. It was closely related to another rare stone, taaffeite, but chemically and structurally distinct. That discovery didn't immediately change the world. There were no headlines, no television specials, no rush of prospectors. Instead, musgravite slipped quietly into the scientific record, the kind of thing that only mineralogists and gemologists whispered about. But here's where the story turns shocking. A broken bar. As years passed, experts realized just how rare this stone truly was. It wasn't just uncommon. It was nearly impossible to find in clean, gem-quality form. And this is the part collectors never talk about. Musgravite doesn't scream for attention. Its colors can range from soft grayish-green to smoky violet, from subtle greenish hues to deep purplish tones that seem to hold secrets inside them. It is not neon like some gemstones, not overly glittery, not loud. Its beauty is understated, almost private. Under the right light, it reveals a depth and clarity that feels alive, as if it's storing time itself. It belongs to the same family as taaffeite, a gem already considered extremely rare, but musgravite goes a step beyond. In top, transparent, faceted quality, it becomes so scarce that collectors will compete intensely for even small stones. Think about this. Over the last decades, millions of people have collected stones, minerals, and rough crystals. Families have passed down boxes of old rocks without labels. Some people purchased small mixed lots from estate sales or flea markets and forgot about them. Among all of those forgotten collections, there is a non-zero chance that an unassuming grayish-purple crystal, heavier than it looks, slightly glassy yet tough, could actually be musgravite. It's not a fantasy. It has already happened. There is a story of a man, a completely ordinary person, not a gem dealer, not a geologist, who loved collecting unusual stones from estate sales. Most of them were worth very little. He kept them in trays, sometimes using them as decorative pieces on shelves. One day, while sorting through his boxes, he paused at a small stone he had never bothered to test. It was smoky gray with a cool lavender undertone. Something about it felt different, but he couldn't say why. He set it aside. Weeks passed. He nearly threw it away. Then curiosity pushed him to have it examined. The first appraiser wasn't sure. The second one hesitated. Then a specialist delivered the words that changed everything. Musgravite. Suddenly, that small, ignored stone was no longer just a curiosity. It was a life-altering asset, valued in the thousands. The cliffhanger is this: how many others have walked past their own hidden fortune? Musgravite forms deep in Earth's crust under rare geological conditions. It grows in environments where specific elements, including beryllium, magnesium, and aluminum, may interact in ways that almost never happen together. That geological oddity is the reason for its extreme rarity. It has been found in only a few locations around the world, including Australia, Greenland, Madagascar, Sri Lanka, and Tanzania. Even there, most of what is found is not gemstone quality. It might be cloudy, fractured, or too small to cut. Only a tiny fraction becomes the transparent, clean crystals that collectors crave, and that is why the value rises so dramatically. Identifying musgravite is not simple. To the untrained eye, it can look like spinel, taaffeite, or even ordinary glassy minerals. But what most people don't know is that musgravite holds certain visual clues. Its colors are subtle but captivating: a grayish purple, greenish gray, sometimes a soft steely tone. The texture appears smooth and glass-like when polished, with clarity that can range from slightly included to almost perfectly clean. In hand, it may feel heavier than expected for its size. Under magnification, it can show internal characteristics that gemologists recognize. But here is the important part: musgravite is often misidentified. That means some people already own it, labeled as something else. The difference between common and rare versions can be dramatic. Low-quality musgravite may be small, opaque, or heavily included, worth only modest amounts. But gem-quality musgravite, transparent, cuttable, with desirable color and clarity, becomes something entirely different. That's when collectors and high-end buyers begin paying serious money. Price ranges can vary widely. Small lower-quality examples might be valued in the hundreds, but fine, faceted stones of good size and clarity can reach into the tens of thousands per carat, and in exceptional cases, even higher. That is why some examples sell for thousands of dollars, even when they are barely larger than a fingernail. Why would collectors pay so much? The answer lies in three words: rarity, beauty, and status. In a world flooded with mass-produced items, true scarcity becomes incredibly powerful. Owning musgravite isn't just about owning a stone, it's about owning something almost no one else will ever possess. It becomes a symbol of uniqueness, of discovery, of the human desire to hold something nearly impossible. Wealth-driven collectors understand this deeply. They aren't just buying gems, they're buying legacy, secrecy, and bragging rights. Musgravite whispers, Only a few will ever have me, and that whisper is irresistible. But here's where the story turns shocking again. Many musgravite stones are hiding in plain sight because they are mistaken for less valuable gems. Old collections, especially those built before musgravite was widely known, may contain pieces labeled incorrectly. That means the danger is not only missing out on wealth but accidentally giving it away. Stones that look ordinary get thrown into donation boxes or sold for small amounts every single year, and this is the part collectors never talk about. Experts sometimes quietly buy mixed lots, hoping that one misidentified musgravite is buried inside. To identify potential musgravite in your own possessions, pay attention to the details. Look for stones with smoky gray, lavender, or purplish gray tones. Notice any subtle greenish tint under certain lighting. Examine how clean or transparent the stone is. Musgravite, being very hard, ranking high on the hardness scale. Comparable to top gemstones, they will resist scratching far better than most common minerals. If you own unknown stones that look like spinel or taaffeite, or simply seem unusually clear and resilient, they deserve a closer look. The key warning is this: never assume that plain means worthless. The value of musgravite is also influenced by the market's psychology. When collectors learn that something is among the rarest in the world, demand grows simply because of its rank. Rarity generates desire, desire generates competition, competition drives prices upward. Right now, interest in ultra-rare stones is heating up, as investors search for alternative assets, unique items, and tangible symbols of wealth that are easy to store yet emotionally powerful. A single tiny gem can hold the value of years of labor, and that idea is incredibly compelling. There is another emotional layer to musgravite: a hope. Many people save, work hard, and worry about financial stability. The idea that an overlooked item sitting in a box at home could suddenly make a difference feels almost unreal. Yet it has happened before. That normal person with a dusty collection did not set out to become a gem investor. He simply paid attention, he questioned, he checked, and his financial future shifted because of it. The cliffhanger for you is simple. What if the stone you always ignored is the one that matters? Of course, with opportunity comes caution. The gem world includes imitations, mislabels, and assumptions. That is why professional testing is essential. Reputable gemological laboratories can confirm musgravite through advanced testing methods far beyond what the naked eye can do. The warning is clear: never sell a mysterious stone cheaply without at least having it examined. Educated buyers look for hesitation, uncertainty, and quick sales. Don't be the person who lets go of $1,000 stone for $20 at a yard sale. As the years go on, fewer new sources of musgravite are discovered. That limited supply against rising interest creates urgency. Once stones are in private collections, they often disappear from the open market. That scarcity pushes prices upward and fuels the whisper networks among collectors. Right now, the market is tightening. More people are learning the name, and that means the window of easy discovery is closing. The takeaway is simple but powerful. Check your stones before you toss them. Give them away, or ignore them. Imagine opening a box you have not touched in years. Imagine picking up a small, grayish, purplish stone you once thought was nothing. Imagine learning it could help pay off debt, protect your family, or build the security you've always wanted. That is the emotional gravity of musgravite. It is not just a mineral, it is a possibility, a reminder that hidden value exists in the most unexpected places, waiting for the right eyes to see it. The mystery, the rarity, the value, the shock, all of it leads to this moment. Somewhere in America, right now, someone is holding a stone and has no idea that it carries extraordinary worth. Someone is considering throwing away an old rock collection, unaware of the treasure inside. Someone is about to sell a mixed lot of gemstones without checking the grayish one in the corner. That someone does not have to be you. So look again, reopen the old boxes, re-examine the inherited stones. If anything seems different, a smoky, lavender, steely gray, unusually clear, harder than expected, treat it with respect, have it evaluated. Do not rush. This could change your financial future in ways you didn't plan for but always hoped might come. The world's rarest stones don't shout, they whisper, and musgravite whispers the loudest of all. If this story sparked your curiosity, if you feel that pull toward the unknown value that might already be in your home, stay with this journey. There are other rare stones, other hidden treasures, and the market for them is heating up right now. Before you throw anything away, before you overlook another ordinary rock, take one more careful look. The next rare stone could be in your hands, a broken bar, and the next story might be yours. What if I told you that a stone smaller than your fingernail, sitting unnoticed in a drawer, a jar, or an old box in your home, could be worth more than a brand new car? What if the rarest gemstone on earth wasn't locked away in a museum, but quietly hiding among ordinary rocks that people toss out every year? And what if, without realizing it, someone just like you once held one in their hand, a broken bar, and almost threw it away? Because that has already happened, and it's happening right now. Most people have never heard the name jadeite. It doesn't sound flashy, it doesn't appear in jewelry store windows, it isn't advertised on television, but collectors know it, serious mineral investors know it, and the people who discover it by accident never forget the moment they realize what they've found. Because jadeite isn't just rare, it's one of the rarest stones on the planet, and some verified examples sell for thousands of broken bar, sometimes tens of thousands of broken bar of dollars. What most people don't know is that jadeite doesn't always look valuable, it doesn't scream wealth. In fact, it often hides in plain sight, mistaken for something common, something forgettable, something unimportant. And that's where this story begins. Years ago, a retired engineer in the American Southwest inherited several boxes of old rocks and minerals from a distant relative. The boxes were dusty, the labels were faded, most of the stones were ordinary quartz, feldspar, and bits of gravel collected decades earlier during road trips and desert hikes. For months, the boxes sat untouched in his garage. One afternoon, while cleaning, he decided to finally go through them before throwing them out. As he sifted through the stones, one caught his attention. It was pale blue, almost colorless in certain light, transparent, lightweight. It didn't sparkle like a diamond, it didn't glow like emerald. It looked a broken bar, simple, almost boring. He assumed it was glass, maybe aquamarine at best. He placed it aside, planning to donate it with the rest. But something stopped him. The stone felt strange in his hand, lighter than expected, sharper edges, cleaner faces. It had a quiet presence, the kind that doesn't demand attention but refuses to be ignored. On a whim, he photographed it and posted it to a mineral identification forum online. Within minutes, the replies started flooding in. "Where did you get this? Do not give this away. You may be holding jadeite, but here's where the story turns shocking. When the stone was professionally tested and confirmed, its value exceeded everything else in the garage combined. A stone no larger than a grape, overlooked for years, was suddenly worth more than the man's annual retirement income. And that discovery raised a chilling question: how many more are still out there? Jadeite has one of the most mysterious histories in the mineral world. It was first discovered in the late 19th century in Siberia, deep within remote pegmatite formations. Named after Russian mineralogist Pavel Sheremetyev, the stone immediately baffled scientists. Its chemical composition was unusual, its crystal structure was distinct, and most importantly, it was incredibly scarce. Unlike diamonds or sapphires, jadeite doesn't form everywhere. It requires very specific geological conditions, boron-rich environments, intense pressure, and precise mineral interactions over millions of years. That's why even today, known deposits are painfully limited. Small finds have been recorded in Namibia, Afghanistan, Germany, and a handful of other locations, but gem-quality crystals are almost unheard of. And this is the part collectors never talk about. Many jadeite specimens never reach the open market. When a high-quality crystal appears, it's often bought privately, quietly, and quickly. No auctions, no headlines, just a discreet transfer from one elite collector to another. That secrecy fuels its mystique, a broken bar, and drives prices higher every year. To the untrained eye, jadeite can be deceptive. Its color ranges from colorless to pale blue, sometimes with a faint greenish tint. In poor lighting, it can resemble quartz or even glass, but under closer inspection, its clarity is extraordinary. True gem-quality jadeite is often eye-clean, with crisp crystal faces and a glassy luster that feels almost unreal. Its texture is smooth but firm. It's harder than you expect, ranking around 6.5 to 7.5 on the Mohs scale. Its weight is another clue. Jadeite feels lighter than many stones of similar size, a detail that experienced collectors notice immediately. The most valuable pieces are transparent, well-formed crystals with a soft sky blue color. Stones with inclusions, cloudiness, or fractures drop dramatically in value. But even imperfect specimens can still command serious money if they're confirmed and well documented. And that's where the real tension lies, because common-looking stones get discarded every day. Estate cleanouts, garage sales, old collections inherited by children and grandchildren who don't know what they're holding. Entire mineral collections are sold for pennies on the dollar because no one takes the time to identify what's there. Low-quality jadeite specimens might sell for a few $100s. Small fragments, opaque pieces, or damaged crystals might trade in the low thousands. But high-quality, gem-grade crystals, those can soar into 5 figures, and in rare cases, exceptional examples have pushed even higher. Collectors pay these prices for a reason. Jadeite isn't just rare today, it's becoming rarer every year. Known deposits are either depleted or inaccessible. New discoveries are extremely uncommon, and unlike gold or silver, there's no industrial supply keeping prices stable. When demand rises, there's nothing to absorb it, and demand is rising, as more collectors turn to tangible assets for stability. Rare stones like jadeite are gaining attention. They're portable wealth. They don't rust, they don't depreciate like electronics, and unlike paper investments, they exist outside traditional financial systems. But here's the danger. Once jadeite becomes widely recognized, the opportunity window narrows, prices rise fast, access disappears, and the people who benefit are the ones who already own it. That's why this matters now. If you own old stones, rocks, minerals, or inherited items, There is a non-zero chance that something valuable is sitting unnoticed in your possession, not just jadeite, but other ultra-rare stones hiding under familiar labels or no labels at all. The tragedy isn't losing money, the tragedy is never knowing what you had. So before you toss that old box, before you donate that collection, before you assume it's worthless a broken bar, look again. Examine color, clarity, weight, shape. Ask questions, get opinions, because the rarest stones in the world don't announce themselves, they wait, and the market for rare minerals is heating up right now. Collectors are searching, prices are climbing, and the next quiet discovery could happen in any home, any garage, any drawer, anywhere in America. Jadeite is proof that extraordinary value can hide behind an ordinary appearance, proof that history, geology, and wealth sometimes collide in the smallest of objects. Check your stones, because the one you overlook, a broken bar, could be the one that changes everything. And when you're ready to uncover the next hidden treasure, the next rare stone that most people walk past without a second glance, stay with us. The story continues, and here's the terrifying part: it could be sitting in your home right now, because this stone doesn't scream wealth, it whispers it, and its name. A broken bar is musgravite. Musgravite isn't famous, it isn't flashy, and that's exactly why it slips through history unnoticed. It was first discovered in 1967, deep in the Musgrave Ranges of South Australia, a remote, harsh landscape where almost nothing survives. At first, scientists thought it was just another useless mineral. No sparkle, no hype, no reason to care. So it was cataloged a broken bar, boxed a broken bar, and forgotten. But decades later, something shocking happened. Advanced testing revealed musgravite wasn't ordinary at all. It belonged to an ultra-exclusive mineral family so rare that even seasoned gemologists had never handled one. And that's when the world realized that a musgravite wasn't just rarely a broken bar. It was almost impossible to find. Now here's where the story turns personal. A retired engineer in the Midwest, a man who spent his life collecting rocks as a hobby, decided to finally clean out his garage. Inside an old cigar box sat a dull, greenish-gray stone he'd picked up decades earlier during a trip overseas. No label, no certificate, no expectations. On a whim, he brought it to a gem lab. Days later, the phone rang. The stone wasn't junk, it wasn't decorative, it was musgravite. And suddenly, that forgotten rock was valued in the 5 figures. And that's when collectors started calling. What most people don't know is musgravite is rarer than diamonds by a staggering margin. Diamonds are mined by the ton. Musgravite, only a handful of confirmed gem-quality stones exist worldwide. For years, fewer than 10 cut examples were known to science. Think about that, not 10 million, not 10,000, 10. And that extreme scarcity is what fuels obsession. Here's where things get critical, because musgravite is often misidentified. It closely resembles other stones, especially taaffeite, which means some people unknowingly own it. Key identification traits include a sense color, grayish-green, olive, or muted violet. A sense clarity, often translucent to transparent in gem-quality pieces. A sense texture, smooth, glassy, almost understated. A sense weight, heavier than it looks for its size. A sense origin, Australia, Greenland, Sri Lanka, Madagascar. It does not sparkle like a diamond. It doesn't announce its value. And that's why it hides in plain sight. Most musgravite found is non-gem quality, a cloudy, fractured, or too small to cut. But gem quality musgravite, that's where the story changes dramatically. Only a tiny fraction meets collector standards. And when one does a broken bar, collectors don't hesitate. Low-grade specimens can sell for hundreds of dollars. But clean, cut, certified musgravite, a cents $5,000 per carat, a cents $10,000 per carat, a cents. Some private sales go far higher, and the finest examples are never publicly listed. They're traded quietly between elite collectors, investors, and museums, because once one enters the market, a broken bar, it may never appear again. This is the part collectors never talk about. Musgravite isn't just rare, it's finite. There are no large deposits waiting to be discovered, no industrial mining operations. What exists, a broken bar, is likely all there ever will be. And in the world of collectibles, scarcity equals power, power equals security, and security equals wealth. A warning you need to hear: if you inherited stone as a broken bar, if you collect minerals, a broken bar, if you have old jewelry, loose gems, or unlabeled rocks, a broken bar. Do not assume they're worthless. Musgravite has been mistaken for junk more times than it's been properly identified. And every year, unverified stones are lost forever. Before you toss that old stony, a broken bar; before you sell it cheap, a broken bar; before you dismiss what you don't recognize, check it. Because history proves it only takes one overlooked object to change a financial future. And right now, a broken bar, the rare stone market, is heating up. Collectors are paying more, supply is shrinking, and awareness is spreading. This window won't stay open forever, so take a second look at what you already own. And if this story opened your eyes, the next stone we're revealing has changed, lives the same way, and most people still have no idea it exists. Stay curious, stay alert, because hidden wealth doesn't announce itself, it waits, a broken bar, for someone who knows where to look. What if I told you that one of the rarest gemstones on Earth isn't buried in some distant jungle or locked away in a royal vault, a broken bar, but could be sitting quietly in a drawer, a jewelry box, or an old collection right inside your home? What if a stone most people have never heard of has sold for thousands of dollars per carat, and some owners didn't even know what they had until it was almost thrown away? Because there is one gemstone, born in California, so rare that most jewelers will never see one in their entire career. And if you've ever owned old stones, inherited minerals, or forgotten keepsakes, this story might change the way you look at everything you own. It begins like so many stories that almost never get told. A quiet afternoon, a cardboard box pulled from the back of a closet. Inside, wrapped in yellowed paper, a handful of stones collected decades ago by a grandfather who loved the outdoors. They looked ordinary at first glance. Blue, glassy, nothing dramatic, just rocks, the kind most people would toss without a second thought. But one of them caught the light in a way that felt a broken bar different, almost electric, and that single moment, just a flicker of curiosity, was the difference between trash and a life-changing discovery. What most people don't know is that benedowite, the rarest gemstone officially recognized as a state gem, has one of the most improbable stories in the entire world of minerals. It doesn't come from across the globe, it comes from one place, one remote, rugged stretch of land in California, and nowhere else on Earth produces gem-quality material like it. But here's where the story turns shocking. Benedowite was discovered accidentally in 1907, not by gem hunters, but by prospectors searching for mercury. Deep in the hills of San Benito County, they found strange blue crystals embedded in white rock. At first, they thought it was sapphire. That assumption alone nearly erased benedowite from history, because had it remained mislabeled, the world might never have known how rare it truly was. It took years before scientists realized they were looking at an entirely new mineral species, a gemstone with optical properties so unusual that it literally bends light in ways few stones can. Benedowite has an exceptionally high dispersion, meaning it flashes fiery rainbow sparks, sometimes even more than diamond. Under ultraviolet light, it glows an eerie, ghostly blue-white, like something alive. And yet, despite all of this, it remained almost unknown to the public. Why? Because nature made a cruel decision. Benedowite only formed under an extremely specific combination of pressure, chemistry, and temperature that almost never occurs. And when it did occur, it happened in a very small pocket of the Earth's crust. The primary mine, known as the Dallas Gem Mine, produced nearly all the gem-quality benedowite ever discovered. And today, that mine is closed permanently. No new major deposits have ever been found. That means every genuine benedowite gemstone in existence is part of a fixed supply. There will never be more, and this is the part collectors never talk about openly. Most benedowite crystals are tiny, fragile, incomplete, cracked. Finding one large enough, clear enough, and vibrant enough to cut into a gemstone is extraordinarily rare. Finding 1/1 carat is so uncommon that it immediately draws attention from serious collectors. Stones over 2 carats, those are headline pieces. Museum grade, investment grade. This is why prices don't behave normally. A small, low-quality benitoite might sell for a few $100s, but fine stones quickly climb into the thousands per carat. Exceptional example: a deep sapphire blue, perfectly cut, high clarity have sold for 5 figures. And in private collector markets, prices aren't always publicly recorded at all. Now here's the twist that makes the story personal. For decades, benitoite was collected casually. Rockhounds picked it up, hobbyists stored it, families passed it down without understanding what it was. Many pieces were never cut. They sit today as rough crystals, tucked away in old collections, mislabeled, or completely unlabeled, and that means some of the most valuable benitoite specimens have never been appraised. So how do you know if what you have is common, a broken bar, or something extraordinary? Benitoite has a signature look once you know what to watch for. Its color is usually a vivid, electric blue, sometimes with hints of violet. It's not the deep navy of sapphire, and not the pale blue of aquamarine. It almost looks like it's glowing from within. The crystals often form sharp, triangular shapes, sometimes embedded in white or gray nitrolite matrix. It feels heavier than it looks, dense, solid, and when light hits it, especially natural sunlight, the flashes of brilliance can be startling. Under ultraviolet light, authentic benitoite almost always fluoresces brightly. This alone has helped identify stones that were overlooked for decades. But here's the warning: because benitoite is rare and valuable, misidentification is common. Blue glass, sapphire, spine, even synthetic stones have been passed off or mistaken for the real thing. This is why professional identification matters. A gemologist with the right equipment can confirm it quickly, and that confirmation can instantly transform a stone's worth. This brings us back to the ordinary person and the box of stones. After days of curiosity, that single blue crystal was taken to a local gem expert. No expectations, just a question, and when the expert paused it just a little too long, the air in the room changed. The stone was real, untreated, high clarity, over 1 carat when cut. Its value? Several $1,000s. And that wasn't even a record-breaking example. Now imagine how many stones like that still exist, hidden in plain sight. How many were collected before the mine closed? How many sit unlabeled in basements, garages, safety deposit boxes, or old jewelry pieces that no one wears anymore? The market for rare American gemstones is heating up. Collectors are shifting focus toward provenance, rarity, and stones that can never be replaced. Benitoite checks every one of those boxes. It is uniquely American, scientifically rare, and permanently finite. And unlike gold or stocks, you don't need to buy it today. You might already own it. That's why this matters. Because throwing away old stones, selling them cheaply, or assuming they're worthless could cost you thousands. This isn't speculation. This is history repeating itself, over and over, as forgotten minerals quietly re-enter the market and shock their owners. Benitoite isn't just a gemstone. It's a reminder that value doesn't always announce itself loudly. Sometimes it waits, patient, silent, blue as the California sky, waiting for someone to look twice. So before you dismiss that old collection, before you give away that inherited box, before you decide something is just a rock, take a moment, check it, question it, because the rarest stone in the world doesn't always look rare to the untrained eye. And the next time you hear about a gemstone selling for thousands of dollars, remember this story, because the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is often just one decision away. The market is moving, collectors are watching, and the stones that were once overlooked are being hunted more aggressively than ever. Check what you own. And when you're ready, stay with USA, because there are more rare stones, more hidden fortunes, and more stories like this waiting to be uncovered next. Somewhere in America, right now, there is a stone sitting quietly on a shelf, a broken bar in a drawer, a broken bar maybe in a dusty box in a garage. It was picked up decades ago, passed down, forgotten, or dismissed as just a rock. And if that stone happens to be what we're talking about today, it could be worth more than some people's cars, more than a year of mortgage payments, more than anyone ever imagined, because what most people don't know is that one of the rarest and most misunderstood gemstones on Earth doesn't come from some distant foreign mania broken bar, it comes from Arizona. And if you've ever collected stones, inherited minerals, or picked up something unusual in the Southwest, this story could hit uncomfortably close to home. This is the story of fire agate, not the common kind, not the souvenir shop stones, but the true Arizona fire agate that collectors quietly fight over, museums covet, and private buyers pay thousands of dollars for. And the most shocking part is how often it goes unnoticed. The story begins the same way it always does, quietly, with someone who has no idea what they're holding. A retired school teacher in the Southwest once cleaned out an old storage cabinet after her husband passed away. Inside were jars of arrowheads, rusty tools, and a handful of rough brown stones he'd collected during desert trips in the 1970s. One stone caught her eye. It looked dull, brown, almost muddy. She nearly tossed it into the garden, but something stopped her. A strange, glassy flash appeared when sunlight hit a corner, just for a second, like fire trapped under stone. She put it aside. Weeks later, she showed it to a local gem dealer, expecting nothing. The dealer went quiet. He turned the stone slowly, changed the angle, his face changed, and then he said something that changed her life. "This isn't just fire agate," he said. "This is one of the rare ones." And here's where the story turns shocking. Fire agate is not like other gemstones. It doesn't announce itself with sparkle or clarity. It hides. It disguises itself as ordinary brown chalcedony. On the outside, it looks unimpressive. But inside, locked in microscopic layers formed millions of years ago, is something that almost no other gemstone on Earth can replicate. Fire, not metaphorical fire, literal flashes of red, gold, green, violet, and electric orange that triple and move as the stone turns. This effect isn't caused by color or dye, it's caused by thin layers of iron oxide trapped between quartz during volcanic activity. These layers bend light in a way that creates iridescence so intense it looks alive. And this is the part collectors never talk about openly. True fire agate only forms under extremely specific geological conditions. Volcanic activity, silica-rich fluids, iron oxide deposits, precise timing, precise pressure, precise temperature. Miss any one of those factors, and the stone is worthless. That's why genuine fire agate comes from only a few places on Earth, primarily Arizona, specifically regions like Deer Creek, Slaughter Mountain, and Round Mountain, places that today are either heavily regulated, mined out, or inaccessible. Which means one thing, no new major supply is coming. Every year, more collectors enter the market. Every year, fewer top-quality stones remain, and prices quietly climb. But before we talk numbers, you need to understand why so many people already own this stone without realizing it. Fire agate doesn't look like a gemstone when it's found in rough form. It's brown, lumpy, and crusted. Early collectors in the 1960s and 70s picked it up because it was unusual, not valuable. They threw it into coffee cans, rock tumblers, desk drawers, estate boxes, and then they forgot about it. What most people don't know is that the value of fire agate is hidden beneath the surface. Literally, lapidaries must carefully grind away layers to reveal the fire. One wrong cut destroys the effect. One careless polish kills the value. That's why high-grade fire agate is so rare, not just because nature made little of it a broken bar, but because human hands ruined much of what existed. The rarest examples display deep, three-dimensional fire, not surface shimmer, not dull flashes, but rolling, liquid color that appears to move under glass, reds that burn like embers, greens that flash like oil on water, purples so rare that collectors whisper about them. And clarity matters, pattern matters, depth matters. Common fire agate shows weak fire in small patches. These pieces might sell for $20 to $100, sometimes a few hundred if polished well. But rare fire agate is a different world. Stones with full face fire, intense color, and clean surfaces routinely sell for $1,000 to $5,000. Museum-grade specimens, especially from old Arizona claims no longer accessible, can reach $10,000 or more. And then there are the elite stones, pieces with dragon scale patterns, peacock eye formations, stones that seem to glow from within even in low light. These are the stones collectors wait years to acquire. These are the stones that never hit public listings. They trade privately, quietly, often for prices that never make headlines. And this is where urgency enters the story, because the fire agate market is heating up. High-end mineral collectors, Asian gemstone buyers, private wealth investors, they're all looking for alternative stores of value, tangible assets, natural rarity, items that can't be printed, replicated, or artificially increased. Fire agate checks every box. It's finite. It's American, it's visually stunning, and it's misunderstood, which makes it dangerous. A broken bar in the best possible way. Dangerous because people throw it away. Dangerous because estates sell it for pennies. Dangerous because heirs donate boxes of rocks without knowing what's inside. Identification is critical. True fire agate is heavier than it looks. It feels dense in the hand. The surface may appear bubbly or botryoidal, like frozen drips. Under strong light, tilt the stone slowly. Real fire doesn't flash once. It rolls, it layers, it changes with angle. Color alone is not enough. Many stones are dyed or treated. True fire agate fire comes from within, not on the surface. Scratches won't remove it. Solvents won't fade it. Origin matters. Arizona stones command higher prices than Mexican material. Older specimens from historic claims are especially valuable. And condition is everything. Cracks kill value. Flat, dead areas reduce demand. Poor polishing destroys fire. But when everything aligns, a broken bar rarity, color, depth, craftsmanship, a broken bar, the stone becomes something else entirely. It becomes art. It becomes history. It becomes money. And here's the part that should make you pause. Most fire agate sitting in homes today was collected decades ago, before the market exploded, before claims closed, before demand surged. Which means the stones with the greatest potential are already out there. A broken bar quietly aging, a broken bar waiting for someone to look twice. Waiting for someone to ask the right question, waiting for someone to not toss them into a garden bed or donation box. Because one decision, a broken bar, one inspection, a broken bar, one expert evaluation, a broken bar could change the financial future of a family. That school teacher, her stone sold privately for over $4,000, from something she nearly threw away. And she wasn't alone. Stories like this surface every year. Always quietly, always too late for those who discarded theirs. So here's the truth. If you own old stones, minerals, rocks, or inherited collections, a broken bar, check them. If you have anything from Arizona deserts, a broken bar, check them. If you see dull brown chalcedony with strange flashes, a broken bar, do not ignore it. Because fire agate doesn't look valuable until it is. And by the time everyone recognizes a broken bar, it's already gone. The market is tightening. Collectors are aggressive, prices are climbing, and the stones aren't coming back. This could be history sitting in your home. It could be wealth hiding in plain sight. And the only thing standing between you and the discovery of broken bar is awareness. Check your stones. Examine them carefully. Learn what to look for. Because the next one we uncover, a broken bar, could be even rarer. And if you think fire agate is shocking, a broken bar, wait until you see what's next. What most people don't know is that true, natural turquoise from the American Southwest is no longer just a gemstone. It's a disappearing artifact, a closed chapter of history, and the clock is ticking. Turquoise has been with humanity for over 6,000 years, long before gold was minted into coins, long before diamonds ruled engagement rings. This blue-green stone was carved, traded, worshipped, and buried with kings. Ancient Egyptians placed turquoise in royal tombs. Persian warriors believed it protected them from sudden death. Native American tribes saw it as a living stone, formed by sky and earth coming together. But here's where the story turns shocking. The turquoise collectors are chasing today isn't ancient Persian, and it isn't Egyptian. It's American, and it's running out. In Arizona and Nevada, turquoise once poured out of the ground as a byproduct of copper mining. Miners would shovel it aside, toss it into piles, or give it away to locals. It wasn't valuable back then. It was just there, blue rocks in the dirt. And that's why so much of it ended up in pockets, jars, and family collections across the United States. One ordinary man learned this the hard way. His name was Robert, a retired electrician from Nevada. After his father passed away, Robert inherited a small box labeled Dad's Rocks. Inside were dull-looking stones, dusty, unpolished, nothing special at first glance. He almost threw them out, but one stone caught his eye. It was heavier than it looked. A deep robin's egg blue with thin black lines running through it like lightning frozen in stone. Something about it felt a broken bar different. He set it aside. Weeks later, out of curiosity, Robert brought it to a small gem show. No expectations, no hope, just curiosity. The dealer looked at the stone, then looked up, then asked a question that changed everything. Where did this come from? That's when the air shifted, because what Robert didn't know was that the stone in his hand wasn't just turquoise. It was natural, untreated turquoise from a closed Nevada mine, a mine that had been exhausted, sealed, and legally unreachable for decades. And collectors would fight for it. But before we talk about value, we need to understand why this stone is so rare now. Turquoise forms when water carrying copper and aluminum seeps through rock over millions of years. The exact balance of chemistry, pressure, and time has to be perfect. Too much iron, and the color turns green. Too little copper, and the blue fades. And here's the part collectors never talk about. Modern turquoise is often not turquoise at all. Most of what's sold today has been treated, stabilized, dyed, pressed with resin, reconstituted from powder. It looks pretty, but it's chemically altered. Its value is cosmetic, not collectible. Natural, untreated turquoise is different. It's porous, it's fragile, it changes slightly with age. And because of that, most mines stopped producing it decades ago. It was too delicate for mass jewelry production, too inconsistent, too risky. So when the big copper mines in Arizona and Nevada shut down, turquoise production didn't just slow, it ended. Mines like Bisbee in Arizona, Morenci, Kingman, Sleeping Beauty, Lander Blue in Nevada, names that now echo like lost cities. Some of these mines produced turquoise for only a few years, some for less than one. Lander Blue, considered by many experts to be the rarest American turquoise ever found, was active for less than a year, and yet its stones now sell for thousands of dollars per carat. Yes, per carat. But here's the cliffhanger most people miss. The most valuable turquoise doesn't look flashy to the untrained eye. True collector-grade turquoise has specific signs. The color is vivid but natural, never neon. Sky blue, robin's egg, sometimes deep ocean blue. The surface may show a tight webbing of matrix, thin lines of black, brown, or gold created by host rock, or it may have no matrix at all, a pure blue so clean it almost looks unreal. It feels heavier than it looks, cooler to the touch. When polished, it doesn't shine like plastic, it glows softly, like stone that's been alive longer than memory. Common turquoise is pale, chalky, greenish, it crumbles easily. Rare turquoise is dense, smooth, solid, and the difference in value can be staggering. Low-grade treated turquoise might sell for a few dollars. Natural, untreated turquoise from lesser-known locations might bring $50 to $200 per piece. But high-grade stones from closed Arizona and Nevada mines, that's where the numbers climb. Hundreds, thousands, in exceptional cases, tens of thousands of dollars for a single stone. And this is why collectors are quietly buying everything they can. Turquoise isn't being mined anymore at scale. New discoveries are rare. Environmental restrictions, land closures, and exhausted veins mean the supply is fixed. What exists today is all that will ever exist. And when supply stops but demand keeps rising, prices don't creep up, they jump. Native American jewelry collectors want authentic stones. High-end designers want provenance. Investors want tangible assets that can't be printed, replicated, or inflated away. Turquoise checks every box, but here's the danger. Thousands of Americans unknowingly own valuable turquoise and don't realize it. Old rings, bracelets, loose stones, cabochons, beads, items inherited from parents who lived near mines or traded with local jewelers decades ago. Many of these stones are sitting unlabeled, untested, and unprotected. And once they're damaged, treated, or discarded, their value is gone forever. This is why identification matters. Natural turquoise absorbs oils over time, slightly darkening with wear. That's normal. Treated stones stay unnaturally bright. Real turquoise often shows subtle color variation, tiny imperfections, organic patterns that can't be faked convincingly. And origin matters more than people realize. A confirmed Arizona or Nevada source can multiply value instantly. Back to Robert. When the dealer confirmed the origin of his stone, other buyers gathered. Offers started quietly, then aggressively. By the end of the day, Robert sold that single stone for more than he earned in 3 months of retirement checks. And he still had the rest of the box. That moment changed how he saw everything he owned. And it should change how you see yours, because turquoise isn't just jewelry, it's history locked in mineral form. It's American ground turned into global desire, and the market is heating up right now. Collectors know something the public doesn't yet. Museums are buying, private buyers are hoarding. Prices for verified natural stones have climbed steadily over the last decade, and experts expect acceleration as older collections are absorbed and disappear into vaults. What most people don't know is that once a stone is documented, graded, and traced to a closed mine, it becomes irreplaceable. No new supply can compete with it, ever. So if you've inherited stones, jewelry, or old collections, now is not the time to ignore them. Now is the time to look closer, to weigh them, to ask questions before it's too late. Because somewhere in your home, there may be a small blue stone that carries more value than you ever imagined. And once you recognize it, you'll never look at your old belongings the same way again. Check your stones. Check your drawers. Check what was passed down and forgotten. The next discovery might not come from a mine. It might come from your own home. And this story doesn't end here, because turquoise is just one of many rare stones quietly hiding in plain sight. In the next video, we uncover another forgotten mineral that has exploded in value and shocked collectors across the country. Don't miss it. The market is moving, and the people who act first are the ones who benefit most. What if I told you that a stone sitting quietly on a shelf, in a drawer, or even in your garden could be worth more than a used car, a broken bar, or more than a year's salary? A broken bar, and most people throw it away without ever knowing. Right now, across America, especially in the Midwest, priceless stones are being sold for pennies at garage sales, left behind in inherited boxes, or tossed into landscaping gravel. And the most shocking part is this: one of the most valuable examples may already be inside your home, because the Lake Superior agate, born in Michigan, shaped by ancient fire and ice, is not just a pretty rock. In rare cases, it is a silent financial asset hiding in plain sight. Most people believe valuable gemstones come from faraway places, exotic mines, dangerous depths, foreign lands. But this stone tells a very different story, one rooted in American soil, one tied to glaciers, volcanoes, and time itself. And once you understand what it really is, a broken bar, you may never look at your old stones the same way again. What most people don't know is that Lake Superior agates are not common rocks at all. They are survivors. Each one is a geological miracle formed over 1 billion years ago, when molten lava surged across what is now the upper Midwest. As the lava cooled, gas bubbles formed cavities, and mineral-rich waters slowly seeped in. Layer by microscopic layer, silica crystallized into bands of color: reds, oranges, yellows, whites, blues, locked together in patterns no human hand could ever recreate. Then came the ice. Massive glaciers, miles thick, scraped these agates from their volcanic birthplace and dragged them across the land like hidden treasure. When the ice melted, it scattered them across Michigan, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Ontario. Most were lost forever, crushed, buried, broken. Only a tiny fraction survived intact, and an even smaller fraction survived with the color, clarity, pattern, and structure that collectors now pay thousands of dollars to own. But here's where the story turns shocking. For decades, people walked right past them. Farmers found them in fields. Children skipped them across water. Families used them as paperweights or garden decorations. No one told them what they were holding. No one explained that these stones were older than dinosaurs, older than continents as we know them today, and rarer than many gemstones sold in jewelry stores. One ordinary man from Michigan learned this the hard way. He was cleaning out his late grandfather's garage, sorting through rusted tools and dusty boxes, preparing everything for a simple estate sale. In a coffee can under a workbench, he found a handful of smooth, colorful stones. He almost tossed them aside. They looked nice, but ordinary. Then one caught the light. Deep crimson bands, sharp white contrasts, a glassy polish where nature had smoothed it over centuries. Something felt different. He posted a photo online, asking if anyone knew what it was. Within hours, his phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Collectors, lapidary experts, dealers, all asking the same thing. Where did you find this? How much do you want for it? Don't sell it yet, get it evaluated. Because the stone in his hand wasn't just a Lake Superior agate, it was a museum-grade exemplary rare banding, exceptional translucence, and a size almost never seen intact. That single stone sold privately for over $12,000, and that wasn't even the largest offer. And this is the part collectors never talk about. The difference between a common Lake Superior agate worth $20 and a rare one worth $10,000 can come down to details most people never notice. Color saturation, band contrast, pattern symmetry, internal clarity, weight, provenance. Even where it was found matters. Michigan-sourced agates, especially older documented finds from historic locations near the Lake Superior Basin, carry premium value in today's market. A true high-value Lake Superior agate feels heavier than it looks. The surface is smooth but dense, almost waxy. When held up to light, rare specimens glow from within, revealing layered bands that appear to float inside the stone. Reds come from iron, whites from quartz, blues and grays from trace minerals present only under specific ancient conditions. Common agates have muddy colors, blurred bands, or fractured interiors. Rare ones look alive. Sharp lines, bold contrast, clean transitions. Some display I-formations, a perfect circular bands that collectors obsess over. Others show flame-like patterns frozen in time, and rarity compounds on rarity. Large, intact specimens are exponentially more valuable than small fragments. Uncut, naturally polished stones command higher prices than altered ones. Proven stones from historic Michigan locations, especially those documented before modern collecting restrictions, are increasingly scarce. Many sites are now protected. What's already out there, a broken bar, is all that will ever exist. That's why prices have exploded. Entry-level Lake Superior agates might sell for $20 to $100. Attractive, polished examples can reach several hundred. High-grade specimens with strong banding and size often sell between $1,000 and $5,000. But elite collector pieces, those with exceptional color, clarity, and provenance, have quietly sold for $10,000, $15,000, even more in private transactions. And demand keeps rising. Collectors are aging, museums are acquiring, lapidary artists are competing for raw material that no longer replenishes. Every year, fewer top-tier agates change hands. When one appears, it creates a ripple through the market, and most buyers are not casual hobbyists. They're investors, professionals, people who understand that geological scarcity never reverses. But here's the warning most people never hear. Thousands of valuable agates are lost every year because families don't know what they're holding. Inherited stones tossed during cleanouts, collections split apart and sold cheaply, landscaping rocks hauled away. Even estate sales where priceless specimens sit unmarked in boxes for $5. Once they're gone, a broken bar, they're gone. If you have old stones, if you live near the Great Lakes, if your family hunted rocks decades ago, if you inherited jars, buckets, or boxes filled with pretty rocks, a broken bar, you need to look again. Slowly, carefully, under good light, because this is not about luck. It's about recognition. Lake Superior agates are not loud. They don't sparkle like diamonds. They whisper, they wait, and they reward the few who learn how to see them. What most people don't realize is that the market is heating up right now, quietly, behind closed doors. Prices discussed privately, deals made discreetly. The public auctions only show part of the story. The real money moves when the right stone meets the right collector. And the saddest truth of all, many of the rarest examples will never be found again a broken bar because they were already found a broken bar and discarded. So before you clean out that drawer, before you donate that box, before you toss those stones into the yard or the trash, pause, look closer, hold them up to the light, feel the weight, trace the bands, because the next life-changing discovery won't come from a mine, It may come from your own home, and if the stone surprised you a broken bar, the next one will shock you even more. Unnoticed, undervalued, dismissed as just another green rock. What if a stone once pulled from the soil of North Carolina has sold for thousands of dollars per carat, and most people who owned it never realized what they had until it was gone? Tonight, the most dangerous mistake isn't missing out on an investment, it's throwing away history, a broken bar, and money, because hidden in plain sight is a gemstone so rare, so misunderstood, that even seasoned collectors have walked past it. Its name sounds almost like a warning, jadeite, and this is where the story begins. In the late 1800s, in a quiet corner of North Carolina, a man named J. Lawrence Smith examined a curious green stone discovered near the small town of Jadeite, a place so unassuming it barely appeared on maps. At first glance, the stone looked unremarkable. Green crystals were nothing new, but something felt different. The color wasn't dull, it wasn't muddy, it glowed with an inner fiery and electric yellow-green that shifted under the light, almost alive. What most people don't know is that this stone didn't just add another gem to the world, it redefined rarity itself. Jadeite is a variety of spodumene, but unlike its more common relatives, this gemstone forms under extraordinarily specific conditions. It requires the perfect balance of lithium-rich pegmatites, precise pressure, precise temperature, and an exact trace of chromium to ignite that unmistakable green. Miss any one of those conditions, and jadeite simply does not exist. And here's where the story turns shocking. For decades, jadeite was believed to come from one place on Earth. A narrow stretch of land in North Carolina, mined briefly, inconsistently, and then almost forgotten. While diamonds were flooding markets, while emeralds were shipped by the ton, jadeite quietly disappeared. Mines closed, records were lost, specimens scattered into private hands, drawers, boxes, and inherited collections. Most owners never knew what they had. One ordinary man learned that lesson the hard way. His name was Robert. He wasn't a gem dealer, he wasn't wealthy. He was cleaning out his grandfather's belongings after a long-delayed estate settlement. Old tools, rusted jars, coffee cans filled with rocks collected from road trips decades earlier. One small velvet pouch caught his eye. Inside were a few pale green crystals, scratched, dusty, and uncut. He almost threw them away, but something stopped him. A memory, his grandfather once saying, "Those came from Carolina, don't lose them." So Robert held on to them, unsure why. Weeks later, curiosity won. He brought the stones to a local gemologist, expecting nothing. The expert grew quiet, then asked a question that changed everything. "Do you know what these are?" What Robert was holding wasn't just a green stone. It was natural jadeite, North Carolina origin, untreated, rare size, exceptional clarity. The appraisal stunned him. Thousands of dollars, from stones that sat forgotten for over 50 years. And this is the part collectors never talk about. Jadeite is rare not just because of supply, but because of how often it's misidentified. Many examples are mistaken for green quartz, tourmaline, even glass. Others fade when exposed to sunlight, leading owners to assume the stone is flawed or worthless. But true jadeite has specific traits that separate it from everything else. The color is the first clue. Genuine jadeite displays a yellowish-green to emerald-green hue, often brighter than emerald, with a sharp, almost neon intensity. Under different lighting, the color can shift, a phenomenon known as pleochroism. Rotate the stone, and the green changes depth and tone. Then there's the clarity. While some stones contain inclusions, high-grade jadeite can be astonishingly clear, so clear that collectors pay a premium for faceted examples. The crystal structure is elongated, prismatic, and feels heavier than it looks due to its lithium content. Weight matters. So does origin. North Carolina jadeite holds a prestige no other source can fully replicate. While small deposits have been reported in places like Brazil or Madagascar, collectors know the truth. American origin jadeite, especially from the original jadeite area, commands higher prices, stronger demand, and faster sales. And here's where the mystery deepens. The original mines didn't operate continuously. Many were shallow, inconsistent, and abandoned before modern mining methods existed. That means the true quantity of high-quality hiddenite pulled from the ground is unknowable. Some experts believe fewer than a handful of gem-grade stones over 5 carats exist today. Think about that. In a world where millions of diamonds circulate, hiddenite exists in whispers. Prices reflect that scarcity. Low-grade specimens, pale or heavily included, may sell for a few $100s per carat, but fine quality stones? The numbers climb fast. $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 per carat or more for exceptional pieces with provenance. Collectors aren't paying for size alone, they're paying for a story that can never be repeated. Because hiddenite isn't just rare, it's finite. Once a North Carolina stone is sold, it's gone into a private collection, a vault, or a museum, and the market is tightening. Wealthy collectors are quietly acquiring American gemstones as tangible assets, as stones that can't be printed, diluted, or replaced. That's why auctions have started heating up. That's why old collections are being re-examined. That's why people are digging through inherited boxes right now. But there's a warning. The hiddenite market is also filled with fakes, mislabels, and treated stones. Some green spodumene is artificially enhanced. Some sellers use the name loosely. True value depends on verification, origin reports, professional grading, and expert eyes. Yet even uncut crystals, if authentic, can be worth serious money. And here's the urgency no one tells you about. Hiddenite is light sensitive. Prolonged exposure can fade the color. Stones left on windowsills, in display cases, or under bright lights may lose their vivid green forever. That means some of the most valuable specimens were destroyed without anyone knowing. Imagine how many fortunes faded away quietly. This is why now matters. Right now, estates are being settled. Old collections are changing hands. The market for rare American gemstones is accelerating as investors look for stability beyond stocks and paper assets. Hiddenite sits at the center of that movement. A stone discovered by accident, named after a forgotten town, nearly lost to time, and possibly sitting in your home. That dusty green crystal, that odd stone passed down from a relative who traveled through the Carolinas, that piece you assumed was decorative, not valuable. Before you dismiss it, a broken bar. Before you give it away, a broken bar. Before you throw it out, a broken bar. Look closer, because sometimes the rarest treasures aren't locked in vaults, they're hidden in plain sight. And if you think this story ends here, it doesn't. Another forgotten stone, another overlooked fortune, is waiting to be uncovered next. Check your stones. The market is heating up, and the next discovery could change everything.